one of the fun things about what I do is I do get a chance to meet and photograph some of the best athletes in the world. And here we have Troy Palamalu, an amazing football player that when you see on the field, he's just like this intense, animalistic kind of, tear people up. And then, of course, when I met him in person, he was this very soft-spoken, gentle human being, and it was just a little bit of a interesting contrast. And when I photographed him, I kept saying, "Troy, can you give me the mean look?" And he's like, "This is it. This is it. This is as mean as I can get." A lot of fun. But of course, Troy's hair was you know Troy on the field by his hair flapping all over the place, and so that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure as I captured was his hair, coming sort of out of his helmet and kind of that intense look. So the other thing too is this was for a client that wasn't for the NFL, and we had to use a jersey that was not, a name script jersey. So it was very bland, kind of makes it a little harder to pull off an image. But with this image here that I've got of Troy, I did my 3-edge light. I used a 5-foot octo as my overhead and 2 large soft boxes. They're like 38 by 40, 50, something like that, with the grids on them. And we had him walking toward the camera, and so he would step into the scene a couple steps, and then he would start over and do it again. And so with each time I would have him maybe move just a little bit different. The tunnel background that shot you see here was actually I photographed at a junior college, and it was sort of a half tunnel. It wasn't even the full enclosed tunnel. And so what I did was they wanted this tunnel shot, and I ended up taking that image, duplicating it, flipping it upside down, and then blending the walls together so it made a complete tunnel overhead, into like sort of infinity. And so again, there's the sort of fun of digital and the ability to sort of take and make something happen that doesn't exist in reality, building an image that doesn't really exist. And so obviously Troy was not in that tunnel, and he was on a white suite. So I'm going to show you this look, and so this is a little bit softer approach, and now I typically run this look, these modifiers more, because one of the things I noticed in Photoshop is that as you build, and I apply a lot of gritty techniques to my images, the contrast gets very prominent quickly. And so I learned to soften my edge lights a little bit to let the contrast build in the post side of things. So if you want to do Photoshop and apply a lot of treatment, you might want to think about softening the edge lights a little bit to help minimize the edginess that happens through the lighting part of it. So we're going to have an athlete come in here. We're going to do this 3-edge light approach, and then show you guys how I do that. Okay, here we have James Townsend with us again to do our sort of a soft edgy, I say soft edgy, let's say a less edgy portrait scenario than we did in episode 5. So we're going to bigger modifiers all the way around. And so we got James with us. James, former NFL football player for the Chicago Bears, now an instructor for USC fighting. James is in great shape, as you can see, and really makes me feel bad standing next to him. But what we're going to do here is we've got bigger modifiers all the way around. Same 3-light approach, but we've moved the modifiers in. And one of the things that I've discovered is that I use this scenario a lot now in my portraits for my sports scenario, because I can always build contrast in Photoshop. And so what I've learned is that even though it may look a little softer in the original raw capture, that as I go through my Photoshop techniques, it builds contrast, and so it kind of brings back a lot of that edginess. So I'm going to show you, this is sort of like the go-to lighting that I use now with the 5-foot Westcott Octobox overhead. So that's my fill light that goes into here. I have 2 large Westcott boxes in the as my edge lights, and they're about let's see, 36 by 54, something like that. And then I have grids on both of those, and so I'm going to move them in really tight, as you can see. So let's get started. So let's get you leaning on the bar, kind of like we had a couple of test shots, and let's get a little bit more glycerin on you. Get the beads of sweat here. So let's take and just put some droplets on your arms here. Those wimpy little arms that you got. Okay, I'm going to do the forehead, just a little bit of the forehead. Remember not to overdo the glycerin because it can look like he's, kind of dripping too much. But, all right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to have a shoot horizontal here, and I'm going to get just enough for his arms in the shot because I don't know later what my final background is going to be. So I want to make sure I get his arms in there. And I could probably crop a little bit on his forehead if I'll do a couple with and without. All right, so James, stare me down right there. Okay, so the first thing I notice is that my lights look pretty good on the edginess. I might, if I, let's say, decided I could either back him up just a little bit to bring the edge lights around or actually move the edge lights. So probably, let's take and back you up just a fraction, about 2 inches here. And I'm going to bring this light around to match. This is a little bit back too far. And so that's going to bring my edge light a little bit further in front of his ears. So I brought the edge light forward just a little bit. Okay, I'll make sure my focus is good to go here. All right. So I make an evaluation. And the key, again, is really, once I get my f-stop or my value, it's usually about a stop or so what I would consider over normal on the edge lights. Then I'm going to determine that strip where this light's going to be lighting. That's I think the critical part of this lighting technique is that for sports, I don't want to over light this, but I want to have enough detail in there so that I can see the skin texture and things like that. So when I look at the back of my monitor, I can make a determination whether or not I'm there or not. Now with him, it looks pretty good. His eyes are a little dark, his eye sockets are a little dark, but in Photoshop I'll be able to pull that out and then be able to get some more detail in his eyes. So let me do this. I'm going to take, and I'm at F8. Let's take, and I'm going to down these lights just a little bit in power. So let's go, I'm at half power. I'm going to take a half stop down. So go over here to the other light. Take a half stop down. And evaluate that. All right, let's trigger off those lights so we'll clear it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, right there. All right, so that gives me a little less edginess, but it gives me, I think, the option for later in Photoshop to kind of, if I want to build contrast. So we're going to open up this light just a little bit. We're going to add a little more value in it. So we are at F6, 1/16, so let's go up a half stop. Trigger off. Here we go, ready, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to fill a little bit more light in his face. So do this, James, just try one with your chin up a little bit more. Just not too much, right about there, okay? Yeah, but give me a little bit more intense with your face. Yeah, just a little bit right there. Now that works pretty good. Now let me take a look. I want to see if I get his 6-pack in there. So I'm going to drop it down a little bit. Since he's got that 6-pack, 2,000 setups a day. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. So take maybe and cross your hands a little bit in the front, just a little bit. There you go, right there. That's good. And again, I might go back to downing this a little bit. I think I've overfilled it for my taste. And again, everyone's taste and what they love is going to be different. So I love a little bit more edginess to it. So that's going to take a little bit less a value in his face, and it looks pretty darn good. Okay, now give me like put a little more weight on that bar, like you're really, they're kind of in there, right there. Now let me make my focus, make sure it's perfect right there. Let's see. Ah, looks good. Looks good. All right, we're just gonna snap a few off because we're here. Beads of sweat. Yeah, I like that, tilt that head a little bit more right there. Beautiful. Gotta make sure that if you're gonna drop him in a background, that you get his elbows in the shot, because I've done that where I've cut him off, and then later I have a scenario where I want this whole wide angle background and I don't have an elbow to put in the whole frame. So make sure that you've got his elbows in there. Okay. Unless you're moving in really tight. But I think that's my shot right there. So there you have it with the little bit softer 3 edgy light approach. And I think that that's, again, going back to that rule of thumb, the bigger the source in relationship to your subject, the softer the light. And so you can, if, for example, even with these lights here, with these large boxes, I will back them up to about 10 feet, and it increases the overall edginess of the image. And so every subject's different. So one athlete may have a little bit lighter skin or darker skin, and the where I put those lights are going to determine what I determine as an artist. So there you have it, 3-edge lighting sports scenario. Thank you, James, for helping out again. All right, so what we wanted you guys to do is to try this lighting scenario with a subject that you can bring in, a sports subject. And again, you don't have to have top athlete like James here. I know he's a little intimidating. And I was thinking, could I do the UFC old man competition?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I might try that out.
Special thanks to FJ Westcott for keeping this episode lit up. Like the music? Special thanks to Triple Scoop Music. Frame Network giveaways are brought to you by B&H. Head to giveaways.framenetwork.com for your chance to win. Find out more about the equipment used in this episode on framenetwork.com.